Echo Safa 20,000 year about the story of Bhikkhuni Chandra.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's analysis. We won't beat around the bush today, let's cut straight to the chase. Today, I am going to take you through an unbelievable ancient Buddhist sutra to look at a story that will absolutely shatter your perception. This is not merely a tale about karma or a super genius, it is about the mind itself, and the mind-boggling explosive power that an intention can hold. Usually, when we see a genius, we think, wow, they were just born with a silver spoon. Right, or we simply assume it's good genetics. But the ancient text we are dismantling today will give you a completely different perspective. Are you ready to take a journey through time and space with me? In other words, what is the true source of genius? Before we pull the timeline back to ancient times, I want you to think about something. If there is someone around you who has a photographic memory and completely crushes everyone else with their IQ, where do you think the superpower comes from? Is it pure coincidence and luck? Or is there actually a deep, profound cause operating across vast expanses of time? Keep that question mark in your heart for now, because the story we are about to discuss will definitely give you an unexpected and shocking answer. Part E, an auspicious birth. The stage of our story is set in the ancient city of Shravasti. There lived an exceptionally wealthy Brahmin named Chandrahita. He and his wife lived a happy life, looking every bit like the ultimate life champions. Before long, his wife became pregnant. This was supposed to be a regular joyful event. But here comes the fascinating part. During her pregnancy, she developed an extremely unusual pregnancy craving. You should know, this wasn't some ordinary craving like suddenly wanting sour plums or fried chicken at midnight. Not at all. This expectant mother suddenly felt an uncontrollable impulse deep within her heart. She desperately wanted to debate with people. And what's wilder is that she had 100% absolute confidence in her heart, feeling that no matter who her opponent was, she would definitely win. She told her husband about this. It so happened that this Brahmin Chandrahita was a master in the art of physiognomy. The moment he heard this, he realized that this was definitely not a normal hormonal shift, it was a highly auspicious sign. He was overjoyed because he knew that the baby soon to be born in his wife's womb was bound to be a peerless prodigy with top-tier wisdom. 10 months later, a super cute baby girl was born safely. Because her father's name contained Chandra Moon, the child was named Chandra. This little baby girl did not just grow up in an environment of top-level luxury, drinking the purest milk and ghee every day. Her rate of growth was also astonishing. The sutra uses a blooming sea lotus to describe the speed at which she blossomed. Just as she reached the age to learn cognition, she displayed an IQ that completely crushed adults. The convoluted and difficult ancient philosophical arguments her father taught her, she understood them at a single glance, mastering them completely without the slightest effort. Furthermore, the moment she opened her mouth to debate, absolutely no one could defeat her. To put it plainly, she was a flawless genius. Part R, encountering the Buddha. Although Chandra lived the life of a wealthy heiress envied by all and was exceptionally brilliant, at a certain flash in time, the trajectory of her life changed completely. She heard that Shakyamuni Buddha had arrived in the city of Shravasti. It was truly miraculous just by hearing the Buddha's name. Her heart felt as if it were drawn by a super powerful magnet. An irresistible urge rose within her, she just had to go and see him. After informing her parents, she immediately set off for the Jada Grove, Anathapindika's park. The text gives us an incredibly profound contrast here. When Chandra saw the Buddha's majestic physical form from afar, an indescribable ecstasy erupted in her heart. Carrying this overwhelming emotion, she immediately walked up to the Buddha and prostrated respectfully at his feet. The Buddha saw through her profound potential at a single glance. Most crucially, the Buddha did not lecture her with a bunch of grand theories. Instead, he precisely gave her a completely customized teaching, relying on her genius-level comprehension. Chandra instantly used her fire-like wisdom to cleave right through the Sakyarsi. To put it simply, she completely shattered the deluded illusion common worldly people hold regarding an eternal, permanent ego. The next 3 steps were executed in one breath. She immediately requested the Buddha to let her leave the home life. The Buddha consented and arranged for his own maternal and the famous Mahaprajapati Gautami to ordain her. Having started from such a high point, Chandra never slacked off just because she was a genius. On the contrary, She put in an amount of effort that ordinary people could hardly imagine, practicing with extreme diligence day and night. Before long, she thoroughly eradicated all worldly afflictions and attained the fruit of Arhat. Part 3, the ultimate memory test. The climax of the story arrived. One day, the Buddha announced a new regulation to make the monastic community operate more smoothly. Bhikkhus and bhikkhunis had to conduct their religious ceremonies or recite the precepts separately. At this point, Mahaprajapati Gautami raised the very practical question, world-honored one. The male monastics have their exclusive precepts to recite. But what about us bhikkhunis? The Buddha promised to formulate dedicated precepts for them. But immediately after, he threw out a highly challenging task that sounded downright impossible to complete. The Buddha said, I can transmit them to you, but I will only speak them once. One moment you can memorize it all. Think about it. Everyone, those were the immensely vast and complex monastic precepts of the community. To memorize them completely after hearing them just once is a God-level requirement. Isn't it? At this moment, Bhikkhuni Chandra courageously stood up. She assured the Buddha that she could definitely memorize them. And guess what? She actually did it. Not only did she seamlessly imprint the Bhikkhuni precepts into her mind after hearing them a single time without missing a single word, she even flawlessly memorized the entire ocean of the Tripitaka teachings. This was quite literally a supercomputer-level memory. Because of this matchless performance, the Buddha gave her the supreme validation, praising her as the foremost in learning and hearing among all bhikkhunis. Part 4, unveiling the karmic vow. When the other monastics present witnessed the scene, their jaws practically dropped to the floor. At that moment, the exact same question we asked you at the very beginning of this analysis surfaced in their minds. Filled with question marks, they respectfully asked the Buddha, world-honored one, why on earth is this? Why could Bhikkhuni Chandra be born into such a wealthy family? Why is her IQ so high that she understands everything in a split second? And why, after leaving home, could she smoothly receive the teachings and even claim the title of #1 in memory? To be honest, everyone just wanted to know on what grounds can a person completely max out worldly wealth, top-tier IQ, and the highest spiritual achievement all within a single lifetime. This cheat code was opened way too excessively. To clear their doubts, the Buddha directly pulled the universe's timeline back to an extremely distant past. It was during the era of Kassapa Buddha. Please remember the staggering number first, 20,000. In that ancient era, the average human lifespan was as long as a full 20,000 years. The Buddha recounted the story and hurriedly actually. In that era where lifespan 20,000 years, the past life of Bhikkhuni Chandra was just a very, very ordinary monastic. She practiced her entire life without achieving enlightenment or any remarkable accomplishments. However, she had a female teacher known as an Upadhyaya, who was a photographic memory genius in that era. This ordinary bhikkhuni felt a deep admiration and reverence for her genius teacher. As this ordinary bhikkhuni reached the end of her 20,000-year life, at the very moment of her death, she made an incomparably powerful, intensely focused vow deep within her heart. She said, although I haven't achieved anything great in this lifetime, I wish that when Shakyamuni Buddha appears in the future world, I can become a disciple who pleases him. I will sever all afflictions. And I also want to be just like my teacher, becoming the strongest in memory and the foremost in hearing among all bhikkhunis. Therefore, today's reality is the maturation of past intention. The Buddha stated that the once inconspicuous little bhikkhuni is none other than the Bhikkhuni Chandra of today. This gives us a deeply shocking realization. The essence of a karmic vow is a superpowered seed of intention planted deep in your heart. Bhikkhuni Chandra's unbelievable IQ, her perfect memory, and her incredibly smooth life were absolutely not determined randomly by the universe rolling dice. That was a seed planted as early as 20,000 years ago, crossing countless times and spaces to finally bloom into the most perfect flower today. In other words, if a simple vow can cross countless life cycles, what kind of intention are you setting today? At the end of today's analysis, I want you to bring this core reflection back into your daily life. If the intentions deep within our hearts truly possess this mighty power to shape reality, then what kind of seed are you planting for your own future at this very present moment? Is every single rise of your thoughts paving the road for the future you? Think about this question deeply. Our analysis for today ends right here. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.